Hi friends, welcome back to this Homeschooling Naturopath. My name is Hannah and I am a homeschooling mom of 3 little girls who are 9, 8, and 5. And I'm also a fully qualified naturopath living and working in New Zealand. On this channel I share content related to homeschooling, homemaking, motherhood, as well as little tidbits of naturopathic info throughout some of my content here. Come along with me today as I get some spring homemaking done. If you are watching this from anywhere in the northern hemisphere, you might be like, what is she talking about? It is nowhere near springtime. That's because down here for us in New Zealand, in the southern hemisphere, of course our seasons are opposite to you guys in the north, so we are just coming into spring, and what a joy that is. I cannot wait to get out from this very cold, miserable winter we've had here. It is a Saturday morning when I am filming this particular part of the video, and for this morning I decided to make some sourdough banana blueberry waffles to kind of change it up a little bit. We are getting a little bit tired of our breakfast menu at the moment, so I do need to get around to actually changing that. The recipe I use for my sourdough waffles is actually the exact same recipe I use for my sourdough pancakes. Literally the only difference today is that I am adding mashed banana and blueberries. I'll go ahead and post this sourdough pancake / waffle recipe down below for you guys in the description box if you're interested. The things I am most looking forward to about the coming spring is just getting outdoors a lot more. We have been cooped up inside for what seems like months and months at this point. It has been a very cold, wet winter for us down here in New Zealand, and I'm just looking forward to getting back out into nature, going on a lot more forest walks and beach walks and, picnics and the whole thing. I can't wait for that. Getting out in the garden a lot more. We plan to plant a little veggie garden this spring, and so we've been getting that prepared, ready to plant our new seedlings in the ground. I am not much of a gardener. Anyone who knows me personally is probably like, what? They're planting a veggie garden? But this year is the year, you guys. We are super keen. I want my own veggie garden, and so this year we're gonna make it happen somehow. My husband is a professional rugby player, and when we initially got a contract in this city, and when we moved into this house, we were only on a 2-year contract with the rugby team here, and so the idea of planting a garden was like just totally, it wasn't appealing at all, because we were like, oh, well, we're only going to be here for 2 years, so, this is a short-term house, nothing exciting needs to happen in the garden. But then we signed for another 2 years, and we thought the exact same thing to ourselves, oh, we're not going to be here for that much longer, no point in planting a garden. And then we signed again for another 2 or 3 years. I don't know, you guys. We've now been here for about 8 years. In this house, in this city, and we have now just signed for another 2 years, and I am done with the excuses of, oh, we're not going to be here for very much longer. So yeah, this year is the year I want to put a little veggie garden in, and I am so disappointed that I didn't do it the first year that we moved here, but done with the excuses. 2 years is plenty of time to have a nice little veggie garden. This Star Wars waffle maker was a birthday gift of mine this year. Very lucky girl I am. Star Wars waffle maker, wow. The kids are it's pretty cool. We all like Star Wars here, so yeah. And actually that particular waffle maker makes much fluffier waffles than my other one, so I can't complain. Although the girls typically eat all of the Star Wars waffles before I get any, but that's okay, I don't mind. Alrighty, after breakfast, I got straight in to sorting out our living room / homeschooling space. this, what do you call this? Like a TV stand? I'm not sure what this is called. It is so old. We got it secondhand. It's like literally falling apart, and the dog has chewed it and all sorts. But like I said, you guys, we're only going to be here for another 2 years. So there's no point in getting a new TV stand because that would just be silly. And I'll keep telling myself that until we move. So yeah. Anyways, it actually does the job perfectly well. It stores all of our homeschool games and all of the things. Like when I took it all out, I was shocked at how much was actually in there. But I just recognized that I needed to do a little bit of spring cleaning. My homeschool space was just getting out of sorts. You know, we're over halfway through our school year now, and the last time I cleared all of this stuff out was probably back in January at the start of our school year, or just before we started. So yeah, it really needed some attention and some love, and so that's what I got stuck into on this beautiful Saturday morning. I do really enjoy clearing out our homeschool stuff. You know, it's obviously very satisfying, but also it's like always a bit of a surprise because I'll find something and be like, oh, I remember this. This was so much fun. We used it twice, and then it got hidden in the back of the shelf or whatever it is, and then it's like it's like going shopping, you know, it's like all of a sudden it's like this new thing, and even the kids get excited. They're like, oh wow, I remember this. This was a lot of fun. And only now, while I am editing this video, do I realize that I have got dirt all along the side of my tights in some of these clips here. It's so nice. It's, you know, the joys of spring cleaning, right? Another positive that I feel comes from clearing out the homeschool space is it reminds me of the intentions that I had set for us and our homeschool at the beginning of the year. You know, some of these books, some of the curriculum that I've got here on the shelf have been untouched for like a couple of months now. And it just, you know, seeing everything again reminds me like, oh yeah, I had intended to be teaching French this whole year. I had intended to, you know, be doing this and that, and, you know, these puzzles and, you know, these games. I bought them specifically to play, and here they are. But it, you know, kind of recenters me and makes me remember that homeschooling is about fun. And, you know, that when we are having fun together as a family, that is the most important thing. And that actually curriculum and all of these things, you know, these material things, they are really not as important as the fun and the memories that we make together as a family. I don't know how I got all that from, like, you know, just clearing off the homeschool shelf, but like I am definitely one who can easily get carried away with material things, only in our homeschool. Like, I'm not someone who's like big into fashion or makeup or like things like that, but most definitely when it comes to our homeschool, you guys, I can very, very easily get carried away. I get carried away with, you know, shiny new curriculum and, you know, nice games and puzzles and art supplies and buy this and buy that. You know, especially here on YouTube, I feel like there's always so much in your face, you know, like what's the next best thing? You know, what can I buy next to make my homeschool better or easier or more efficient or whatever it is. And I feel like what I'm really trying to say here is that, you know, yes, we have all of these amazing resources in our homeschool, but to be completely honest with you guys, we do not use even half of the stuff that we have. Truthfully, we just don't. You know, we have our favorite games that we play over and over again, and we really don't touch the other things. We have our favorite books that we continuously go back to over and over again. And, you know, it goes to show that when you have too much, you don't even realize what you have, and you just take it for granted. And I am definitely guilty of doing that.
So, yeah, what I'm trying to say is that having lots of fun looking homeschool resources is not what homeschool is all about. And I just, I'm thankful that my mind has kind of been recentered, and I've yet again been reminded of, the true meaning of what I'm doing here and my purpose and my intention behind my homeschool. And yeah, that's my spiel about that. Anyway, as you can see, I have moved on to cleaning my kitchen. These little wine things here, I don't know what they're called. We call these the squares. These are the squares in our house. So if ever like a random piece or, I don't know, it's kind of like a junk drawer, but it's in these squares. And so these squares fill up very, very quickly with a lot of junk. I probably clear these out, I would say, every 2 to 3 months, and they get filled with junk again within a month. Like, seriously, probably less time than that even. And then up top here, on top of all of our shelving, like, this is just stuff that has nowhere else to live. Our kitchen is actually relatively small, considering how much stuff we have, again, with the amount of things that we don't need, that we don't use, but for some reason, like, can't give away. I don't know. Nothing's ever easy. This next clip here, we had actually gone on a road trip, so this is like 4 or 5 days later after the footage from before, and this is just some of the laundry that I needed to get done after our road trip. So I was throwing that on and then heading out into the garden. It was a beautiful spring day on this particular day, and we were just walking around, and I was taking a look at some of our flowers and different things, and then the girls and I got stuck into getting our garden beds ready for our new seedlings that we're going to be putting in soon. After we'd been outside for quite some time, this is like pretty late afternoon now, I remembered that we needed to get our house decorated for our book club gathering. This month's book for our book club was obviously Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and I hosted our book club event this month, and we decorated it, as well as best we could for the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory theme, which was a lot of fun. And now I am moving on to making a sourdough chocolate bread. This is something I really wanted to do for our Charlie and the Chocolate Factory book club event, and so I was getting it started here. The recipe I use for my sourdough chocolate bread is from Farmhouse on Boone. I will put the link in the description box down below. This recipe is like foolproof, you guys. This is the best sourdough recipe I've ever been able to make, and it is so much easier than a normal sourdough loaf, I have found. I don't know what it is, but when I make normal sourdough loaves, they vary so much. They're always so different, but with this chocolate bread, it just turns out perfectly, absolutely perfectly every single time, and it makes me feel like such a baker, and I love it. And not only that, but it is so delicious. It tastes just like a chocolate brownie, except, you don't have all of the awful, well, maybe you do. I mean, look, there's 50 grams of brown sugar, and then I want to say 50 grams of chocolate chips, maybe, give or take. I may have added more in this particular recipe, but, who's counting? So yeah, this was a very big hit at our book club. The entire loaf got eaten, which I was so pleased about. And obviously, while I am getting this loaf started, I am also in the midst of making dinner, always multitasking as one does. And just for a little bit of reference as well, I believe this was Wednesday night when I started my loaf, and I didn't end up baking it until Thursday night, and then I served it Friday morning. So yeah, this is like a pretty long drawn out process, but so worth it. So once I mix all of my ingredients in here, I just leave it to sit for a good 30 minutes and then come back to it and I start my stretch and folds. Some of my footage was missing here, the footage of when I put my chocolate chips in. I obviously didn't push the record button because, yeah, I didn't have any chocolate chips going in, but there are chocolate chips in here now, and I keep coming back to my loaf every 30 minutes or so to perform stretch and folds before leaving it out on my countertop overnight. The purpose of performing these stretch and folds every 30 minutes in the beginning when you're starting your loaf is to start building up that resistance inside of the loaf so that when you bake it, it is able to form those beautiful classic sourdough holes. Alright, this is Thursday morning, and as you saw, my dough had risen to nearly, the top of the bowl here, which is exactly what you want. And so now I am going to start shaping my loaf and get it ready for its banneton basket. If you are brand new to sourdough making and this all sounds super confusing and, like so many processes and so many steps, I promise it's really not that hard. Once you get the hang of it, it does take quite a while to, learn all of these steps, and I am definitely no expert. I am only I'd say probably about 8 months into my sourdough journey, so I am by no means an expert. But I think, practice, and really just learning how your sourdough works, because everyone's sourdough is so different. It's such an amazing thing. So here what I'm doing is now shaping my loaf. So I sort of flattened it out into like a rectangular shape, and then I like to roll it up tight, almost like as if I'm making a cinnamon roll, and then roll it again the other way. And then in a moment here, I'll begin I think it's called push and pull or something like that. And it's just another like sourdough shaping technique. And again, the whole purpose of all of this is to build up that resistance within the loaf. You want it to be nice and tight on the inside, and you'll start to see, as I'm doing this technique here, you can kind of see the bubbles forming on top of the loaf, and that is that resistance and all of that tension building up inside of the loaf, so that when it hits the hot oven, it just springs right up, and that gives it the beautiful, high rise, that beautiful spring that you want in your loaf. From there, this guy is being transferred to his banneton basket, and this is now where he will sit for the next, give or take 12 to 24 to 36 hours, depending on, when you want to bake it. I have left my shaped loaves in the fridge for over 48 hours, and they always come out beautifully no matter what. So yeah, they're pretty resilient old things. This particular loaf didn't sit in the fridge for that long. I think it was probably in there for about 12 hours. I put it in its basket early morning, I think, and then I was baking it that night. So this is later on Thursday night, and I am just getting it ready for baking now. As you can see, it's risen already quite a bit more than it was this morning, and it is all beautiful, ready to be put into the oven. I do like to do a little bit of what is it called? Art design on the top. I don't know. I'm not very good at it. I'm definitely still practicing this skill of, doing pretty artisan cuts on my loaves, but I just do my best to make it look as nice as I can. There is actually a reason why you are meant to put cuts in your sourdough loaves, and that is to do with the oven spring. So you want it to be able to have enough room to expand when it hits that hot oven and everything, rises upward. you want it to have that room to grow beyond its crust, and having that, particularly that big cut along the side, that ensures that it will have enough room to grow. Alright, and from there, this guy is into the oven for 45 minutes until he is fully baked and ready to come out. I hope you guys have enjoyed this spring homemaking with me video today. I've really enjoyed bringing you guys along. Thank you all so much for watching today's homemaking with me, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care, you guys. Bye-bye.